They say every land has a story that must never be told after dark. And ours began with a mask that would hear lies.
Demands a face.
Long ago, a priest was betrayed by those he called brothers. In his final breath, he poured his rage into clay, whispering, "Let truth burn every false face." The mask he made, they called it the Mask of Irewolu. Whoever wore it could see the secrets of others, but lost their own soul in return. For hundreds of years, it vanished, buried by time, forgotten by men. Until now, in Malabu city, where greed walks taller than gods, a young journalist named Juwon Olabiyi has unknowingly brought it back to life. And when the mask smiles, someone always dies.
They say Irewolu was swallowed by silence long before Malabu ever rose. In the days when the wind still carried secrets, the villagers spoke of a mask carved by a betrayed priest, one who poured his grief into wood until it bled. They called it the Mask of Irewolu. It was said to punish deceit, to twist the hearts of liars until truth spilled out in screams. But when the priest died, the mask vanished, buried perhaps with his curse. Time moved on. Roads replaced footpaths and people forgot. Yet some things do not die, they wait. Tonight, as the rain soaked Malabu's restless streets, thunder rose like an old drumbeat from Irewolu's direction. In the city museum, alarms blare, the guards run in, but the case is empty. Only red clay fingerprints and a faint hum in the air, like something breathing. The mask has returned, and the city does not yet know it is already being watched. Juwon Olabiyi was dreaming again. In his dream, he stood in the ruins of a village with no sound. Faces moved around him, but none had eyes. Then a voice whispered, "You are his blood." He woke with a shout. His phone buzzed. His editor had sent one message. "Mask stolen. Come quickly." The young journalist threw on his jacket and ran into the rain, his mind racing. He didn't know that somewhere, in the shadows between Malabu and Irewolu, the mask was already choosing its next face. The rain refused to stop that night. It was as if heaven itself mourned. Juwon ran through the narrow streets of Malabu, the city glowing in puddles of orange light. He reached the museum where police lights flashed red and blue against the carved walls. A curator sat trembling near the entrance. His voice cracked. "It's gone," he whispered. "The mask, it called my name before it vanished." Juwon frowned. "Called your name?" The man nodded, his eyes empty. He said, "Truth is never buried, only delayed." Behind them, a broken glass case reflected the mask's empty shape. Juwon bent down, his fingers brushing the red clay left behind, clay that smelled not of earth, but of blood. Then, for a moment, the room went silent. Every camera light flickered. Somewhere deep in the museum's dark hallways, a faint sound echoed. Breathing. Not human, not animal. The guard crossed himself. Juwon stood still, heart pounding. It was the first time he felt watched by something older than fear itself. As he left the museum, lightning tore the sky open. For a heartbeat, Juwon saw a figure at the gate, tall, wearing an old tribal robe from Irewolu. The face was hidden beneath a mask made of shadows. He blinked, and it was gone. Back at his car, a woman was waiting, Asake, the historian. Her eyes burned with questions. "Juwon, this isn't just theft. That mask belonged to the priest of Irewolu. Legend says whoever awakens it must face the truth of their bloodline." Juwon froze. "My bloodline?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, the priest was your ancestor." And just like that, the rain stopped. The city listened. The curse had found its name. Night swallowed Malabu whole. The city's hum felt quieter, as if even machines feared to breathe. Juwon drove home in silence, headlights slicing through the wet streets. The rain had stopped, but puddles rippled without wind. He parked, climbed the stairs to his small apartment, and saw his front door slightly open. Inside, the air was thick, like someone had been there too long. His laptop screen glowed with words he did not type. I am waiting. Juwon's chest tightened. He unplugged it, heart pounding. Then he saw it, a red clay fingerprint on the keyboard, the same as the one at the museum. He grabbed his phone to call Asake, but before he could speak, her voice came through first. Don't go near water tonight. The mask moves through reflections. The line went dead. His bathroom mirror fogged, though there was no steam, and in it he saw his own face. Then for a second, another face overlapping his, older, scarred, wearing the mask of bridal. Outside, thunder rolled again. Someone knocked on his door 3 times, slow, deliberate. When he opened it, a man stood there, drenched in rain. Festus, he flashed an ID. Tech investigator, your editor sent me. His eyes scanned the room like a scanner. You've been marked, he murmured. That mask leaves a digital trail. It's not just a myth, it adapts. He turned his laptop around. On the screen was a distorted image, the mask staring directly at them. It knows who's searching, and it doesn't like being found. Morning came like a wounded animal, slow and uneasy. Juwon hadn't slept. Festus sat across from him, surrounded by open laptops, his fingers dancing on keys. Whatever this mask is, he muttered, it's living digital pulses, electromagnetic patterns like a heartbeat. Juwon rubbed his eyes. A heartbeat? Festus nodded. Yes, and something or someone is tracking us back. Suddenly, a knock at the door. A woman stepped in, tall, confident, eyes sharp as glass. Sonia, she said softly, I work for Chief Akanbi. He wants to meet. Juwon frowned. The chief was one of Malabu's richest men, known for funding cultural projects and for secrets deeper than oil wells. Sonia's perfume smelled like rain on red clay. Festus whispered, don't trust her. But Juwon had already agreed. The mansion sat high above the lagoon. Carved pillars and ancient carvings decorated the halls. Akanbi wore white agbada trimmed with gold, his voice smooth but heavy. That mask is not a relic, my boy. It's a covenant and your family broke it. Juwon blinked. My family? The chief smiled. Yes, your grandfather sealed the priest's curse to protect this land, but now it's awake again, and blood calls to blood. Juwon's palms went cold. Behind him, Sonia's hand brushed his shoulder. Gentle, yet chilling. She whispered, everyone wears a mask. The question is, which one is yours? Lightning flashed through the window. For a split second, Akanbi's reflection wore the mask of bridal. That night, Asake arrived with a folder of ancient photographs. They sat in Juwon's dim apartment, the hum of the city fading beneath the weight of history. I found this in the university archives, she said. Your great-grandfather, Olabiyi, the last priest of Irewolu. The black and white photo showed a stern man with eyes that seemed alive. Around his neck hung the mask of bridal. He wasn't just guarding it, she whispered. He created it. Juwon leaned forward. You mean he made the curse? She nodded. Yes, he forged it to trap his brother's spirit, the one who betrayed him for power. Juwon's pulse quickened. Then the mask contains a soul. Asake closed her eyes. Yes, and it's angry. A sudden crash. Festus' laptop screen turned black. Then words appeared. Set me free. The room temperature dropped. The window glass fogged into symbols none of them recognized. Asake gasped. That's the language of Irewolu? A faint hum filled the air, not mechanical, but human, like someone humming a funeral song. Then the lights went out. In the darkness, a voice whispered, blood remembers. When power returned, one thing had changed. The photo of Juwon's great-grandfather now showed 2 faces. One was his own.
The next morning, Juwon, Asake, and Festus met under a bridge near the old market, a place where the city's noise felt distant. Festus showed them hacked footage from the museum. Look here, he said, zooming in. Just before the mask disappeared, it paused like a living thing. Juwon stared at the screen. Then someone took it. Festus shook his head. No, it took itself. Asake clutched her necklace. There's a ritual in the old texts. When the mask awakens, it seeks descendants of the priest to finish what was left undone. Juwon sighed. What was left undone? She looked away. forgiveness. Before they could respond, a black SUV pulled up. Sonia stepped out again, holding a silver briefcase. Chief Akanbi wants a deal, she said. Return the mask, and he'll protect you. Festus scoffed. Protect? From what? Ghosts? Sonia's smile didn't reach her eyes. From yourself. She turned to Juwon. The mask feeds on guilt. The more you hide, the stronger it becomes. Then she dropped a photo. Juwon's mother holding the same mask decades ago. You were never told the truth, were you? Her eyes softened for the first time. Your family didn't just guard the curse, they caused it. The sound of drums echoed faintly from the lagoon. Irewolu was calling again. The lagoon slept under the moonlight, calm on the surface but trembling beneath. Sonia drove them to an abandoned dock where the chief once stored ancient artifacts. He said it would be safe here, she murmured. But the air felt wrong, heavy, electric. Festus scanned the area with his drone. No guards, he said, but something's moving under the water. Asake whispered. The priests of Irewolu used to sing their masks in the lagoon after dark rituals. They believed water carried memory. Juwon kneeled beside the dock, peering into the reflection. His own face stared back. Then the mask appeared over it, smiling. He stumbled backward. Festus checked his drone feed. Static filled the screen. Then a shape emerged, a figure walking on the water, step by step. Impossible, Festus whispered. The figure stopped, lifted its head, and vanished beneath the waves. Later, when they returned to the car, Sonia froze. Her rear view mirror was dripping, not condensation, but water running upward. We're being followed, she said, voice shaking. Asake clutched her amulet. That's not a spirit of Irewolu, that's a summoning. Suddenly, Festus' phone buzzed, a video file sent from an unknown number. He pressed play. The screen showed him sleeping in his own apartment last night, but behind him, something stood, breathing. The timestamp changed to 1 minute ago. Sonia whispered, "It's not following us. It's already here." Chief Akanbi's mansion was brighter than daylight, but something about the light felt false, like it was hiding darkness instead of chasing it. When Juwon arrived, guards stepped aside silently. The chief sat alone by a fire pit, staring at the flames. "I warned you," he said softly. "The mask doesn't choose randomly." Juwon clenched his fists. "What do you know?" Akanbi sighed. "When I was young, I found the mask buried near Irewolu. I thought it was just a relic, but it whispered. It told me secrets about men, about power, greed, betrayal. It showed me how to control them, and I listened." His voice broke. "The mask gave me everything, then demanded a price." Juwon's voice trembled. "What price?" The chief turned. His reflection in the glass behind him showed a hollow face, mouth sewn shut. "My peace." Asake stepped forward. "You're saying you used the mask?" The chief nodded. "To build my empire. Every deal, every rival, I owed it all to its voice. But once it speaks to you, you never stop hearing it." Suddenly, Sonia dropped her gun on the table. "Then you lied to me," she said. "You told me you destroyed it." Her eyes burned. "You made me kill for you." The chief's hand shook. "Sonia, listen." But she fired into the ceiling. No more lies. The fire pit roared higher, as if breathing. Shadows danced, and in them, the mask of bridal appeared, grinning from the flames. They fled the mansion before dawn, the smell of smoke trailing them like memory. Sonia drove in silence, her hands trembling. Juwon stared out the window, words stuck in his throat. Finally, Asake spoke. "You knew," she said quietly. "You knew your grandfather's name before I told you." Juwon didn't answer. "You've been dreaming of him since before the theft, haven't you?" His his eyes filled with guilt. Yes. Festus frowned. What aren't you telling us? Juwon turned slowly. My mother used to pray to that mask. The car fell silent. She said he protected us from lies, but when I was 8, she disappeared. All she left behind was the mask's wooden fragment. Festus cursed under his breath. You should have told us. Juwon's voice cracked. I didn't think it was real. Sonia glanced at him through the mirror. It's real now. Suddenly, the car lights flickered. The radio turned on by itself, an old chant echoing through the speakers. Asake gasped. That's the priest's ritual. Sonia tried to turn off the engine. He wouldn't stop. The road ahead blurred into red mist. Then in front of them, the mask appeared, floating. The car spun out of control and crashed into an abandoned market square. When Juwon crawled out, he saw footprints leading away, red clay footprints, and only 3 sets. Festus was gone. The market lay in ruins, its stalls filled with ghosts of trade long forgotten. Juwon searched for Festus, calling his name until his voice broke. Sonia checked the shadows. He couldn't have gone far. Then a voice echoed, low, distorted. I never left. They turned. Festus stood by an old statue, eyes blank, face pale. His voice was wrong, slower, heavier. It showed me truth, he said. We are all wearing borrowed faces. Asake stepped closer. Festus, listen. He lifted his hand. The air trembled. You don't understand. The mask is not a curse. It's a mirror. Suddenly, the statue beside him cracked open, revealing a hollow space, and inside, the real mask, glowing faintly. Sonia reached for her gun. Don't! But Festus smiled. It's beautiful, isn't it? It shows what we really are. And what are we? Juwon whispered. Liars, Festus replied. Every one of us. He took a step forward, holding the mask. It wants you, Juwon. It's waited for your blood. Then before they could stop him, he pressed the mask to his face. The world went dark. The air screamed. When the dust settled, Festus lay still, the mask gone. But his whisper lingered, soft as wind. It has found its face. The morning after the crash felt wrong. The city's sky was too still, the air too heavy. Juwon sat in his apartment, staring at the cracked mirror on the wall. Each fracture seemed to move like veins. Asake was asleep on the couch, exhausted. Sonia stood by the window, staring at the horizon. He's gone, she said. Juwon shook his head. No, I can feel him. The mirror shimmered. A faint image appeared. Festus, face half covered by the mask. His voice was a whisper inside Juwon's head. You can't hide from what made you. Then, the reflection began to cry. Thick red clay dripping down like tears. Asake woke with a start. It's calling again, she said. The mask is in transition between host and heir. Juwon clenched his fists. Then we stop it. Sonia turned to him. Stop it? You can't even stop yourself. Her words cut deep. You are changing, Juwon. I see it in your eyes. He stepped closer. You think I want this? She smiled bitterly. Want has nothing to do with destiny. Then the mirror shattered. Each shard reflected a different scene. A burning village, a priest's altar, a child crying beside a grave. In the smallest shard, Juwon saw his mother, whispering his name. Irewolu, she said. The glass turned to dust. They left Malabu before dawn. The road stretched through mist and silence. Juwon drove. Asake read old scriptures in the back seat, her voice trembling as she translated. The mask cannot die in the city. It must return to its cradle. Sonia loaded her pistol, glancing out the window. And where is that cradle? Irewolu, Asake replied. The forgotten village. The name itself made the wing shiver. By midday, the buildings of Malabu vanished behind them, replaced by endless trees. The air grew colder. No GPS signal, Sonia muttered. We're off the grid.
They stopped by a roadside shrine, a cracked statue covered in red clay.
Juwon stepped closer and saw symbols glowing faintly under the dust. He reached out. A whisper filled his mind. "You are almost home." He stumbled back. Asake's voice shook. "Don't touch it. That clay is not from this world." Then thunder rolled, though the sky was clear. A flock of blackbirds rose from the forest, circling them. "They are guiding us," Asake said softly. Sonia frowned. "Or warning us." By evening, they reached a stone archway, carved with faces and eyes that seemed to move. A faded sign read, "Welcome to Irewolu." The village beyond was silent, yet the wind carried faint laughter, like memories waking up. Irewolu was not dead, it was dreaming. Houses stood empty but unbroken. Fires burned in pots, though no one tended them, and drums echoed faintly from nowhere. "This place," Sonia whispered, "is like time stopped." Asake knelt by a well. They said the village vanished after the priest's final ritual. She dropped a stone into the well, but there was no sound of it falling. "It doesn't end," she murmured. Juwon looked at the village square. There, in the center, stood a wooden altar, stained dark. "That's where it began," Asake said. A sudden wind stirred. Voices whispered from every direction. Fragments of old prayers and curses. Juwon felt something pulling at him, a magnetic force drawing him toward the altar. His heartbeat matched the drums in the air. Sonia pulled him back. "Don't," she warned. "It wants you to step closer." But the altar was already glowing faintly. Then, from behind one of the huts, a figure appeared. Festus. His skin was pale, his eyes dark. "Welcome home," he said softly. Juwon froze. "You're alive." Festus smiled weakly. "Alive or borrowed, it doesn't matter. The mask doesn't need a face anymore. It's becoming the land." The trees rustled like they were breathing. Irewolu was awake. That night, they camped by the edge of the village. The air was heavy with whispers and smoke. Sonia sat apart, cleaning her gun. Asake approached quietly. "You care for him, don't you?" Sonia didn't look up. "Care is a weakness." Asake smiled faintly. "Maybe, but you keep saving him." Sonia's hands paused. "I once had a brother. The chief made me kill him. He said the mask demanded a sacrifice of blood to keep the curse asleep. I believed him." She looked at her hands. "Now I wonder if the mask chose me long before it chose Juwon." Juwon stepped out of the shadows. "You killed your brother." Sonia's eyes glistened. "I was a weapon before I was a woman." He knelt beside her. "You can stop being one." She shook her head. "No, the mask doesn't forgive." A chill wind swept through camp. From the darkness, a soft humming began. The same melody from Juwon's dreams. Sonia gripped her gun, trembling. "That's my brother's song," she whispered. "He used to hum it before bed." The sound grew louder, closer. Then the fire went out. In the dark, a child's voice said, "You left me." Sonia screamed. When the fire returned, Sonia was gone. The forest around them shimmered like heat waves, though the air was cold. Juwon called her name, no answer. Asake held her amulet tightly. "She's crossed over," she said. "The mask has claimed her guilt." Juwon's voice broke. "We have to find her." They followed the echoes into the heart of the forest. Faces appeared on tree trunks, old, cracked, and whispering. Each one spoke a name from Juwon's bloodline. "The Olabiyi debt must be paid," they said in unison. Suddenly, they entered a clearing. Sonia stood in the center, eyes closed, wearing a mask made of red clay. "Don't come closer," she said softly. "It's inside me now." The mask on her face pulsed like it was breathing. Asake whispered a prayer. Juwon reached out. Fight it. Sonia's tears streaked through the clay. You don't understand. The only way to end it is to break the bloodline. She aimed her gun at him. Juwon froze. For a long second, only the forest breathed. Then Sonia pawned the gun on herself. Forgive me, she said. The shot echoed through Irewolu like thunder. The clay shattered, and the wind began to weep. The forest mourned. Sonia's body lay at the altar's edge, her mask cracked open like dry earth. Blood seeped into the soil, and the soil drank deeply. The trees bent towards her as in respect. Asake whispered, her soul won't rest until the circle closes. Juwon's eyes burned with grief. Then I'll close it. He lifted the broken mask. It was cold, heavier than before. The veins of red clay pulsed faintly. A deep rumble shook the ground. It's waking, Asake said. You can't stop it now. But Juwon wasn't listening. He placed the mask against the altar. You want a face, he said softly. Take mine. The mask shimmered, hesitated, then sank into his palms like water. His body convulsed. His veins glowed crimson. In that moment, the earth around him split, revealing hundreds of skeletal faces beneath, whispering in unison, Irewolu must rise. The air turned to flame. When Juwon opened his eyes, he was no longer in Irewolu. He stood on the surface of a calm river under a dark red sky. Countless faces floated in the water, men, women, children, all staring silently. His mother's voice called from across the river, Juwon. He turned and saw her, young, radiant, dressed in white. You should not have come here, she said. You carry too much blood. He fell to his knees. Tell me what to do. She touched his face. The mask was never a curse. It was a covenant. Your ancestor broke it when he used its power for vengeance. That's why the bloodline bleeds itself. Juwon's tears mixed with the river. Then how do I end it? She smiled sadly. By remembering who you are. Not the cursed child, but the bridge between the seen and the unseen. The river began to rise around them. Go, she said. The living still wait for you. Then the water swallowed him whole. When Juwon woke up, he was in the center of the village. Asake was beside him, chanting through tears. You were gone for hours, she said. The ground trembled like thunder. Behind them, the huts began to shift, walls breathing, doors whispering. Irewolu was alive again, but not as it was. The spirits of the dead moved freely, glowing silhouettes dancing in the streets. They're not angry anymore, Asake whispered. You've returned what was stolen. From the altar, the red clay began to lift into the air, swirling like dust in a storm. It formed a new mask, white, streaked with gold. The voices in the wind spoke, the debt is forgiven. Juwon stepped forward, then let them rest. The mask shattered into light, raining down across the village. For the first time in centuries, the air was still. The curse was broken. But peace never comes without a price. Asake knelt beside Sonia's body, tears falling silently. She died for redemption, Juwon said. We must honor her. Asake nodded, tracing a symbol on the ground, the ancient mark of Irewolu. Her spirit will guard the threshold. They buried her beneath the great baobab, where the wind sang low. Juwon stood there long after the sun set, watching the moon rise through the mist. The village was quiet again, too quiet. Then from behind him, a familiar voice whispered, You freed them, but who frees you? Juwon turned. Festus stood there, half human, half shadow. I was the vessel before you. The curse doesn't end, it just moves. Juwon clenched his fists. Then I'll carry it alone. Festus smiled faintly. No one carries Irewolu alone. It carries you. His body began to fade into dust. The wind howled once more. Months later, Malabu returned to normal. News channels called it an earthquake. The world forgot, but legends don't die that easily. Juwon now lived in silence in a small coastal town. Some nights, he would wake up to the sound of drums in the distance. He'd stand by the window, watching the tide rise. The reflection in the glass sometimes showed two faces, his and another, calm and ancient.
One evening, a child knocked on his door. She handed him a small clay fragment, white with golden veins. "The ground gave me this," she said. Juwon smiled softly. "Keep it safe." As she ran off, he looked out toward the sea. The wind whispered his name, Irewolu. He whispered back, "I am listening." The drums began again, faint but steady, not a curse this time, but a heartbeat. The screen fades to black. End of Season 1. The Whispering Mask, Irewolu. The mask was buried, but not forgotten. And now it has chosen another face. Season 2, The Curse Isn't Over. Subscribe to African Folk Tales by Sammie to watch Season 2.